Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of Sprout HR Experts Season 6. My name is Kiara, and I will be your host for this webinar. Thank you so much to everyone who took the time off of their busy schedules to join us today. Maraming salamat po. Alam naman natin may mga kanya-kanya tayong mga trabaho. You have your own tight and busy schedules, yet you took the time to be part of our very special event. Thank you for tuning in. And for those who have been watching us for a while now, welcome back. It's nice to see you again. We have another exciting episode for you in today's Sprout HR Experts webinar, as we will be talking about the importance of technology and innovations in helping businesses and the economy bounce back from the challenges brought by COVID-19. If you like more webinars like this one, please don't forget to follow our social media pages at Sprout HR Tech and be on the lookout for all new episodes. We are also live on Facebook and YouTube as of this moment, so guys, please feel free to share this with your friends and your colleagues. Just to give you a quick introduction on who we are, Sprout Solutions is the leading HR and payroll solutions provider in the Philippines. We aim to help businesses transform and automate their HR processes. Just like the new normal of virtual festivities and Filipino spirit, we celebrate innovations by helping your business adapt digitally. Once again, a hearty welcome to everyone tuning in to this exciting episode of Sprout HR Experts by Sprout Solutions. So I'm sure you guys are looking forward to learning more about today's topic, but before we get into that, let's first start with a short icebreaker. To join, simply answer the poll on your screens. Okay, guys, let's first warm things up with a short icebreaker, no? I would like to know, how does digitalization shape your work environment? Again, how does digitalization shape your work environment? Do you, number one, pay more attention to your employees through online engagement? Number two, do you do a spring cleaning of technology to streamline investments on tools? Number three, a greater investment in cybersecurity for all of those people who are more into the safety features of technology? Or do you do all of the above? Lahat ba to ginagawa nyo in terms of digitalizing your working environment? Personally, no, I would like to discover more investing in cybersecurity. All right. So we are done with our poll. Okay, so 62% answered all of the above. Wow, so you do all of those. And then 23% answered paying more attention to employees through online engagement. That's also a really good choice. 15% answered greater investment in cybersecurity, and then 0% answered spring cleaning of technology to streamline investments on tools. I would understand that. All right. Thank you so much for sharing all of your answers, everyone. So now let's start spicing things up. For those of you who have been tuning in with us for a while now, you already know what comes next. You guessed it, there will be a raffle towards the end of the webinar. To join, this is all you need to do. Collect all three keywords and get a chance to win a Dingdong PH Essential Basket. Number one, after collecting the three keywords that will be flashed on the screen throughout the whole webinar, and I will also be reading them to you. Number two, follow Sprout's official Twitter page at Sprout HR Tech. Don't forget, and at Dingdong_PH. Number three, comment all three keywords on the pinned tweet. So guys, hindi niyo na kailangan hanapin pa kung saan kayo mag-comment. It's already pinned on our Twitter profile. Number four, we'll be announcing the three lucky winners at the end of the session. So guys, hindi lang isa yung mananalo, but three. So tune in, okay? Make sure you tune in as we uncover everything on today's topic. Now, I'm sure you guys are excited to know the raffle keywords, so here we go. Are you guys ready? The first raffle keyword is technical. Again, the first raffle keyword is technical. Make sure you took note of that. Okay. So while you guys are logging into your Twitter accounts, I just want to let you know that there will be a fireside chat later where you can ask our panelists and our speaker questions about today's topic, bouncing back from the COVID crisis with the power of tech. So start listing down your questions and we will be addressing as much of them as we can later on. Now, I know you guys are as excited as I am, so without further ado, I would like to introduce to you today's speaker. He is an e-commerce industry veteran who has been tasked to man the front and back end operations of Dingdong, a tech startup that enables and empowers individuals, businesses, and communities through innovative solutions delivered with excellent service, or as they call it, professional malasakit. He has with him a wealth of experience from companies such as JobStreet PH, Multiply.com, and Sogo PH and OLX PH, handling key positions on sales and business development, marketing and advertising, operations, and product management. Guys, that was a mouthful, so you already have an idea of just how experienced and seasoned our speaker is. So everyone, let's give a round of applause to Mr. Rafi Maramag.
Hi, good morning everybody. Maraming salamat po ulit sa ating mga kaibigan from Sprout for inviting us from Dingdong in their webinar series. The previous webinar that we did, we shared insights on how the COVID-19 pandemic affected our buying behaviors and kung ano po yung mga naging ripple effects of the pandemic to the logistics industry. And one of the key effect was the surge in the use of online services from the onset ng health crisis. And the growth trends had expanded its effect in multiple business industries actually. This morning's sharing will focus on insights on how other industries and companies have been able to cope, bounce back, and thrive during the height of the pandemic, and learning how we can actually, pick up from their experiences and be able to continue on during the post-COVID-19 period. Yung shift or change in the business strategies can be disruptive and threatening even in the absence of a pandemic. However, COVID-19 forced all our businesses and business industries to enable or implement strategy shifts or changes to remain relevant and to sustain our existence. It has certainly been quite challenging for business owners and stakeholders to navigate the uncertainties which the pandemic has brought. The founder of Trailblazer Circles, Miss Catherine Tingle, said that during the time of the pandemic, you will need to strike a balance between being proactive and reactive with your business strategies. Progressive leaders or business owners or business leaders have been made aware of the merits and opportunities which digital transformation could and would bring. And those who implemented their digital pivots very early on saw their businesses thrive during the pandemic. Those who had partially or have not taken on to push some form or level of digital transformation in their business operations have now been forced to accelerate their initiatives. Now, in fact, the most popular growth strategy in 2020 was pandemic pivot. Large to small to medium scale enterprises have set up e-commerce and or virtual services, re-engineered existing or have been forced to launch new product lines, and or they have targeted new customers and markets using various digital formats. Moving on, next slide please. Thank you. Now, we all know that the retail industry is actually one of the most heavily hit by the pandemic, and brands globally and locally were forced to close their retail stores to minimize operational expenses and refocus their resources towards initiatives that would sustain the brand's market presence. Nike was actually one of the global brands to enforce this strategy, leaving only a few concept stores to open for the buying public. While Nike's digital footprint is already expansive, Nike went overdrive on the use of their digital assets to reach out to existing and new customers and markets. Because of that, Nike actually reported a revenue growth last year. And in the fourth quarter results showed that the sportswear giant actually grew by 96% compared to 21% during the previous fiscal year of 2018-2019. Their full revenue was actually up by 19% to 44 billion, while net income doubled to 5.7 billion during the same period. The results were once again driven by the strong growth of Nike's direct-to-consumer business. That was the strategy they actually employed, which saw sales increase by 32% for the full fiscal year compared to 12% growth in sales to wholesale customers. Latest results are a continuation of a longer-term trend that sees Nike cut out the middleman and move more and more towards selling directly to consumers at the expense of their traditional retailers and resellers. So if you've been heavy on Facebook the past year, you will be noticing a lot of Nike ads coming out, and then from there, you can actually buy the products online. And as the chart shows, the percentage of direct-to-consumer sales in total Nike brand sales more than doubled over the past decade, growing from 15% to 2010, in 2010, 39% in 2021. Direct-to-consumer sales grew from 2.5 billion to 16.4 billion in 2021. The steep increase in direct sales is largely driven by sales across Nike's digital platforms, which accounted for 21% of the Nike brand sales. Their CEO said that full year 21 was a pivotal year for Nike. 2020 to 2021 was a pivotal year for Nike as it brought the consumer direct acceleration strategy to life across the marketplace. Currently approaching 40%, Nike aims for direct sales to represent 60% of its business by 2025, while the share of digital direct sales expected to double from 21 to around 40%. Nike took a gamble, and it showed a lot of dividends for them. Moving on, there's another interesting turnaround. Next slide, please. All right. If you research on the company Stage Kings, it's actually a 6-year startup company from Australia, and they specialize in custom designing and decorating stages for the music and entertainment industry. They have established a solid portfolio and reputation for delivering highly creative and customized concepts, even for the corporate and their government clientele. They've actually built entire television studios, pop-up outdoor touring theaters, life-size replicas of castles, and built the sets for the Ninja Warrior TV show in Australia. And they too had been commissioned by the Australian government to design and build most of the set of the 2018 Commonwealth Games opening ceremony. Now, they were actually due to build and complete new projects for the Melbourne Formula One, another series for the Ninja Warrior, and the Cricket World Cup in 2020, when unfortunately the Australian government imposed a shutdown on the entertainment and events industries last March 2020. It actually went spiraling down for them from there. And 2 years worth of projects and revenues literally went down the drain within a period of 48 hours. Now, at the risk of closing the company and laying off all their employees, the Stage Kings team went on to do a survival brainstorming session and figured out how else they can make use of their existing expertise, creativity, tools, and fabrication technologies. The eureka moment happened when they realized that the pandemic will restrict the corporate labor force to a work from home setup, and they will be in need of a work table to function and operate sensibly. Now, the idea eventually gave birth to what is now known and famously known as the ISO King work from home desk. And that's the image that you're seeing to your right side. The fast to assemble slot on desks demand and sales skyrocketed. They have since expanded the product line to include home furnishings. The success of ISO King allowed them to retain and rehire their workforce and have even started to employ freelancers who had also been forced out of work due to the pandemic. The success was so significant that the owners have been asked and invited to multiple interviews and conferences to showcase their products and actually to reshare the details and story of what is known in Australia and globally as the famous pivot. And what I'd like to highlight here is that they actually did not add new technologies, but actually repurposed what they already have. Next slide, please. Thank you. Well, the COVID-19 pandemic did not spare the healthcare industry as well. Ironically, they're actually the ones in the front line. The increase in the number of people getting infected by the virus put a strain in the capacities of the industry. And the restricted access to non-COVID-19 healthcare services was another ripple effect of the outbreak. Incidentally, telehealth services had actually been around for a while already, but the take-up had been slow initially. All of these drastically changed during the pandemic, and the healthcare services have been pushed to go online and start using the technologies that could make it more accessible to patients and more usable for the physicians, doctors, and even therapists. In the Philippines, Filipino-made app-based services like AID, Itika, Medgate, Consulta MD, and MedGrocer had allowed patients to book doctors or nurses who can assist patients on home treatments, do e-consult with doctors who in turn can send e-prescriptions when necessary, or even you or us being able to order and buy medicine online. As adoption in the use of these services improve and increase, telehealth technologies infrastructure is expected to expand and evolve as well. Businesses directly engage in or are enablers for remote diagnostics, remote mental care, virtual fitness, and health wearables could and should expect to continue experiencing business growth post COVID-19. Next slide, please. All right. Now, some of the personalities you see here are probably very familiar to you. And if you have actually listened to the Wish 107.5 channel, then it puts a lot of smile on your face if you are a music lover. But see, the Philippine entertainment industry, just like the healthcare and just like the retail industry, experienced a steep downturn at the onset of the pandemic. Pre-bought tickets and pre-booked shows and concerts had to be either refunded or totally discontinued. Entertainers and direct and indirect employees of the industry either experienced an income cut or unemployment. YouTube actually became one of the entertainers' default platform to help them manage their creative fix, or to allow them to stay connected with their fans and followers, or to strut their wares to as much wider audience and market as possible, and also essentially to generate and gain alternative income in the process. And this is due to the hundreds and thousands, if not millions of views generated by the digital videos that they had actually created. People turn to digital video for more reasons than one, and it has pulled viewers or us away from the traditional TV towards streaming platforms. A Think with Google research suggests that in times of uncertainty, digital videos can be a wellspring of positivity. 79% of those participating in the surveys shared that when using streaming platforms, it actually made them feel good and very happy. For some of us who are nostalgic viewers, we would actually go to HBO Max to watch reruns of Friends, or we can go to the YouTube channel Some Good News for inspiration and for cheering up. And for those of us who wish to binge, actually go to Netflix and watch old seasons and episodes of The Suits, How to Get Away with Murder, and The Big Bang Theory. People too had turned to digital video due to the freshness, newness, and uniqueness of content. Some of the top drivers for increased digital video use are the following. Aside from watching Gary Valenciano or Morrison or Bugoy Trilon and what have you, we actually went to online streaming platforms to learn new skills, right? Or we watched shows or videos that would just actually allow us to feel good, to reset and recharge, or just to just to keep sane. But for most of us who are actually buying stuff online, we actually went to YouTube to find product reviews and demos and gather more info on the brands and services. It is commonly known now that the pandemic actually got all of us anxious and fidgety. Thing is, the streaming apps kept us calm and entertained. Next slide, please. ADB's chief economist, Yasuyuki Sawada, shares that the Asia and the Pacific have significantly leveraged on rapid technological progress and digitalization to recover and reconnect to the global economy during the pandemic. I'd like to share some of the key points he raised. Similar to what Nike did, business-to-consumer revenues of digital platforms reached 3.8 trillion in 2019. And our region, the Asia and the Pacific, accounted for 48% of the total, or equivalent to 1.8 trillion. These figures expectedly significantly increase in 2020 as more business transactions, such as ride-hailing, food delivery, and e-commerce, all migrated to the digital space despite the restrictions imposed to curb the spread of the virus. Now, it is anticipated that the accelerated digital transformation can boost global output, trade and commerce, and employment, and a 20% increase in the size of the global digital sector can actually increase the global output to 4.3 trillion per year from 2021 to 2025. And the ripple effect is that in the Asia and the Pacific, our region could gain 1.7 trillion yearly, or about $8.6 trillion over the 5 years to 2025. The plus side to this is that it could generate and bring about 65 million jobs yearly in Asia and the Pacific until 2025, primarily due to the increased use of digital technologies. And regional trade is expected to increase by 1 trillion yearly over the next 5 years. Right? So that's the irony of the pandemic, where when it started, we all feared that it could actually crash the economies. But due to technology now, we're actually seeing a different trend. It must be noted that businesses and industries accelerated and the industries accelerated and expanded utilization of technologies and the IoTs, or Internet of Things, had a lot to do with the shift in the buying behavior of consumers. Next slide, please. All right. The graph here shows you representation in the shift in the buying behaviors and the take-up on the use of digital platforms in the Philippines as of May 2020. While millennials were the native audience and users, the baby boomers, the Gen Xers, and the Gen Zers had a natural or forced adoption on the use of apps and platforms to source and purchase their essentials. Access to diverse products and services, as well as the availability of multiple modes of payment and improvements in the messaging and last mile delivery services, made trade and commerce a consumer-driven market. Businesses needed to hasten the implementation of their digital transformation initiatives to stay relevant and to stay in business. While transformation needed to be swift, it is, however, a prerequisite to do the following. For us to run businesses, we really need to listen to the VOCs, or the voice of customers, as the challenges and pain points they actually share to us could be opportunities for our businesses to change, if not innovate. Let's continue to do our due diligence. Let's use good time to assess our businesses and our core competencies, the market, and the available technologies before diving in to any transformation or pivot strategy. While investments need to be made, the shift need not be expensive. Lastly, look for new ways to reach and connect your customers. Enhance the content and SEO structure of your websites, run hyper-targeted campaigns with relevant publishers or platforms, or develop or outsource product promotion in app-based solutions to target and capture the ever-growing mobile device market. Next slide, please. All right. So from healthcare to education, from manufacturing to retail, from work operations to finance, from customer services to food services, the pandemic forced companies and again industries to reevaluate and re-engineer their business strategies. One of the key tasks of business stakeholders would be to determine how existing and upcoming technologies can be used, or what integrations can be done so that the business can continue to thrive during and in the post-COVID-19 world. The pandemic definitely hastened the adoption of technologies and of the Internet of Things. The IoTs were equally forced, actually, to adapt to the changes and shifts on how we live, how we work, how we learn, how we engage with other people, and even up to how we entertain ourselves. As users or consumers, we too adopted progressively, and a lot of the digital habits formed will remain and will continue to be more discerning and demanding post-COVID-19 pandemic. He said several industries and technologies that have survived and thrived during the pandemic will continue to do so since devices, integration protocols, and data management for the IoTs will continue to evolve as well. Let's consider some business use cases for the IoTs. In our home, for commercial and end users, IoT devices appear in homes for energy management, security, and even task automation. For example, thermostats and lighting can be scheduled and controlled through internet apps. Motion-activated sensors can trigger video and audio streams to homeowners through the homeowner's smartphones. Smoke, fire, and CO2 detectors can report dangers to users. For those of us in the manufacturing sector, IoT devices have broad adoption in all manner of manufacturing and industrial settings. IoT devices can actually help monitor and optimize the use of energy, such as lowering lighting or temperature when human-occupied areas are idle. Some devices can monitor all types of machine behaviors and parameters during normal operation, using machine learning to guide predictive maintenance and to optimize processing time. Now, for businesses in the retail industry, IoT and big data analytics have found extensive use in retail sales and physical store environments. Devices used can tag every product, enable automated inventory control, loss prevention, and supply chain management. While placing orders to suppliers based on sales and inventory levels. So you're actually using data available to you to determine how you will actually process your business. Cameras and other surveillance and other machine learning technologies can watch shopper activity and preferences, helping retail stores optimize layouts and organize related products to maximize sales. So how does that work? You have a system using a camera, and the data provides you the kind of traffic that goes through each aisle, right? And now you can use that data to relay out, even the retail stores and the groceries. Now, enabling machine learning devices can send schedule notices to you on when to do a purchase of your most commonly bought grocery items. If you're familiar with the technology, Amazon is actually already doing that. Finally, education. Technology and online content make the classroom optional. Why? Because student engagement platforms can now track student attendance and give access to interactive presentations and discussion management tools. E-learning allows us access to diverse skill and or role-specific online courses, graduate-level programs, boot camps, and trainings, and actually get certified too. Next slide, please. All right. So here's another user case and something very, very close to my heart. As a startup tech company, Dingdong's digital strategy is actually meant to support and sustain its operations and business at the same time. Automation of as much of the business operations is our goal, so that it enables us to be cost and work efficient. The pandemic actually affected the company directly in more ways than one. But the accessibility and mobility which the app and web-based solutions we had deployed had allowed the operational teams to maintain and even improve its performance cadence. The trick as well is to source, screen, and onboard enabling partners that align with the vision and goals of your company. In the case of Sprout Solutions, the HR tech has given us real-time visibility on the day-to-day demographics of our employee base, as well as gain insights on the temperature or a temperature check on the well-being of the staff through a periodic and the strategic surveys that were done online. From a business standpoint, Dingdong has developed agnostic app and web-based solutions that will enable various types and size businesses to further simplify their retail operations, while eventually allowing them to expand their digital and market footprint. And to complete and sustain the corporate and advocacy journey, Dingdong partnered and will partner with tech enablers and integrate more IoTs that will allow the implementation of the digital solutions to be much easier for established and budding entrepreneurs in the country. Next slide, please. All right. Using and integrating IoTs to your business actually bring a lot of benefits. The digital age has made it possible for us to establish an integrated network of dedicated systems and our devices to gather and exchange data across the web. Through the IoTs, data gathered can help reflect one or more physical conditions in the real world. And this allows, in turn, our businesses to learn what is happening. Not just to learn what is happening, but to exercise better control over what's happening. Implementing and using the right tech in IoTs can provide businesses immediate knowledge and long-term insights. Now let's consider these scenarios when IoTs are properly used. A product manager being able to decide in advance on when to shut down a machine in a production line for routine maintenance. The data or knowledge received would allow predictive intervention and avoid unnecessary production, downtime, and repair expenses. A traffic monitoring system that is able to see vehicle congestion on a major thoroughfare and provide real-time updates on the current traffic conditions in a travel app can inform and enable drivers to view and select alternate routes to avoid the traffic. The convenience and time saved could translate to lower gas consumption or increased productivity. Increasing the adoption of online banking and insights on the transaction behaviors of users allow banking institutions to invest more on fintech and customer acquisition and retention, and less capital spent on human resource and physical locations. Consumers now have more than more than a year of exposure to technologies that influence their change in lifestyle. Technology and IoTs have helped level the playing field, and it is inevitable for businesses to incorporate or integrate existing and be very aware of upcoming technologies or risk losing your market share to smaller, more agile and tech-savvy competitors. Next slide, please. Thank you. Now, while we do our digital transformation, or when we decide to do our digital pivot, there are certain things that we need to be prepared for or to be watching out for. Because any digital pivot or transformation for any organization cannot be approached simplistically. The pivot or the transformation requires change or adjustments, and such change or adjustments can be painful and could receive initial assistance if the objectives and the intended results and gains are not properly communicated. I'd like you to consider the following before pushing forward with your company's pivot. Let's make sure that the leadership has a buy-in. Any initiative will require the knowledge and buy-in of the senior management. Investments to be secured and made need to be linked to aggressive targets, and significant and sustained impact on the business goals need to be realized on a long-term basis. The end users, the staff, the personnel, on the other hand, also need to be informed ahead and be shown that the systems, tools to be used are meant to help them work more effectively and efficiently, which in turn would lead to helping them achieve their departmental KRAs and KPIs. Another tip would be, please make sure that we source and onboard relevant partners only. Technology breakthroughs allow multiple players to develop, repackage, and come up with almost similar offerings. The key task now is to select a partner and its offerings which can immediately address the business pain points in the short and long-term basis. Investment requirements will be relative to the need of the organization. but it becomes really expensive if the solution bought or onboarded or deployed does not match the needs or the take up or usage of the systems or tools are low. Now, if there's any requirement to deploying anything digital is this. We have to have a consistent and reliable connectivity to the internet or to a Wi-Fi and to a power supply. Digital technologies and the IoTs heavily rely on internet connectivity and power supply to allow them to operate as expected. The key thing is to set up the proper infrastructure, which includes elements like network bandwidth and latency, network interface and configuration, and management tools, as well as having the appropriate power supply for your business size. Establish layered contingencies to ensure operational continuity. Now, during the first icebreaker, one of the questions was, should we consider cybersecurity as an important element when doing a POC? Actually, cybersecurity is a must. Why? Because the data produced by our IoTs can be sensitive and confidential. Passing such data across open networks can expose devices and data to snooping, theft, and hacking. Companies, organizations planning an IoT project must consider the best ways to secure IoT devices and data in flight or at rest. Encryption is a common approach for IoT data security. Additional security must be applied to IoT devices to prevent hacking and malicious changes to device configuration. Security involves various software tools and traditional security devices such as firewalls and intrusion detection and prevention systems. Lastly, what we want to consider is device and system management. IoT devices and systems to be used will be procured, prepared, installed, connected, configured, managed, maintained, and ultimately replaced or retired. The cost to implement these activities must be factored in when considering and preparing the pivot plan and when securing the budget. Logistical management processes have to be put in place as well so that the digital engine is running smoothly all the time. Last slide, please. All right. The summary and to close. For most of us, the COVID-19 pandemic was and is a life-altering experience. We were literally thrown into the unknown and caused much anxiety and brought so many uncertainties. At some point, though, we realized that we needed to take a different approach and manage the health crisis head on. The pandemic indeed became a catalyst for change, and it accelerated almost every country's adoption to digital transformation. Businesses and industries who started their future-proofing initiatives pre-COVID-19 were generally unscathed and found more opportunities to scale. There's actually an abundance of best practices out there, and let's pick up a thing or two and apply what is relevant to our businesses. Our pandemic pivot need not be when the next pandemic hits. Let us all continue to stay safe and healthy so that we can enjoy eventually the fruits of our labor. And that's it. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation, Mr. Rafi. I'm sure our audience has truly learned a lot from that. Now, I know you guys have a lot of thoughts and questions on the topic, and to Sir Rafi as well. So feel free to use this time to finalize your questions. Remember that we will be having a fireside chat later on. While you guys are jotting down your questions, it's time to reveal the second raffle keyword for the webinar. So if you guys are ready, the second raffle keyword is high tech. Again, the second raffle keyword is high tech. I hope everyone got that. Make sure to keep track of all of our raffle keywords. Before we go on to reveal the third and final raffle keyword, Here at Sprout, it's in our culture to keep practicing work life integration. If you're down to learning more about us as a company, take a look at this video.
So you've got your processes, and your company is an oiled machine that runs pretty smoothly, but under the hood, you have problems. You've got managers desperate to know the status of their open positions, leave requests getting lost in a jumble of emails, SMS and forms, and employees complaining about payroll errors. You've thought about some expensive custom software that would be a pain to maintain, or swimming in all the features of SAP or Oracle, or maybe even outsourcing your payroll altogether. Why can't you find a local, intelligent, well-supported software that caters to your needs as a Philippine company? Well, guess what? Here at Sprout, we've developed a system that just works. One system with all the features you need and without all those that you don't. So what are you waiting for? Get over to sprout.ph and get your systems fixed today.
Okay, guys, I hope you picked up a thing or two about the wonderful company that is Sprout Solutions. All right, so it's time to finally announce our third and final keyword. So make sure to take note. Here we go. So the third and final raffle keyword is practicality. Again, the third and final raffle keyword is practicality. So to recap, our three raffle keywords are number one, technical, number two, high tech, and number three, practicality. Remember, guys, to join the raffle, you must follow Sprout's Twitter page at SproutHRTech and Dingdong at Dingdong_PH and comment these three keywords on the latest pinned post of Sprout's Twitter page. We will be choosing our lucky winners via Twitter, so make sure to comment your answers on our pinned post. Remember, guys, you have a chance to win Ding Dong Essential Baskets. For the next portion of this webinar, we will be having the fireside chat with our speaker and panelists. So if you have your questions ready, be sure to type them in the chat box now. It is my pleasure to welcome back our speaker, Mr. Rafi Maramag, and joining him, our Sprout's very own Marketing Content Lead, Katrina Papa, and Marketing Content Associate, Christopher Vega.
Morning.
Hi everyone, good morning. Good morning, sir.
Good
Morning,
morning.
everyone.
Okay, so guys, the floor is yours. You may now start asking your questions by using the Zoom chat. But before that, we already have some questions sent in beforehand. So to everyone, what are some technical and business strategies I should adapt to given the effects of the pandemic on small businesses?
Um, okay, let me take this first question. One of the things that you can do is to invest in an automated timekeeping and payroll system. As Sir Rafi mentioned earlier, they are automating most of their business processes, so that their businesses can be efficient and cost saving. So we're very lucky to have Sprout here in the Philippines that they are automating businesses here in the Philippines to improve businesses.
That was great, Chris. Thank you. Kat?
Well, just to add to what Chris said, I feel like this is a question that you have to ask your business internally. So that would really depend on your requirements as a business. But those are things that you can start with. Another thing, since digital isn't really normal in the Philippines, is that you can invest in cybersecurity measures. Like for Sprout, we make sure that we're ISO certified annually. All of our rock stars join DPA boot camps, which we also do annually. So if you guys have been following us for a while, you know that that's a thing we do at Sprout. It's DPA boot camp. So we have DPA certified advocates, or we train DPA certified advocates for your companies. These are first steps that you guys can take. These are like the usuals, but it's really a question that you have to ask internally for your company. It really depends on what your industry is, what your business needs are.
Right. Well, if I may chime in, mine is more general, but picking up from what Katrina said, you have to when you go digital transformation, it's not just about subscribing to tech-based solutions right away. Correct? You have to be able to identify which portions of the operations would you like to get started with. In our case, it was an immediate decision that our HR need to be automated right away. Our finance need to be automated right away, primarily because of the work from home setup. Right? And along the way, we identified uh, tactical operations that needed the necessary tools so that we're able to do more with less resources. Now, Katrina pointed out a very important point. Part of the transformation is actually getting your employees not just aware of the technologies that are coming on board, but actually training them to use it. Because one of the more common reasons why, while the solutions are good, the technologies are not properly implemented because these are viewed as threats to employment security. What most employees fail to realize is that these are actually being introduced to their work so that, again, on the premise that they're able to become more efficient and be more productive. Correct? If you can recall, there was actually fear on artificial intelligence or robotics actually replacing human labor force. In fact, on the contrary, what is being said is that the programming, the design, the movement of the machines will still be controlled by the manually. But again, the technologies just allow the production line to become more cost effective and to be able to produce more. Right? So there's no one answer to the question. And if somebody asked me that, I would readily ask again, which portion of the business do you want to become more efficient first? And then you start there, right? And then gradually adopt the, the, the transformation to the rest of the departments.
That's a very good point, sir. Thank you so much. Our second question is actually closely related to what was previously asked. So, do you believe we have efficient cybersecurity providers locally? It's a scary thought knowing that bright people out there are good in hacking too.
That's a very good question. Actually, cybersecurity is not just one country's concern. It's actually a
Mhm.
global effort, right? But do we have service providers here in the country? At least as far as I know, a lot of our service providers are direct distributors of the cybersecurity solutions, right? So again, it comes down to which provider you'd be able to engage with. Now, the beauty of it is that also most developed solutions now have been a certain level of security have already been put in, right? And it's a standard protocol now for IT developers or tech companies to ensure that the products and services they're putting out are relatively hack free.
Mhm.
So it's an ongoing war, if you may, for cybersecurity. But just so you know, I actually have my best friend in the States. His son is actually he has an interesting course, and the degree he's trying to take up is moral hacking or ethical hacking. So there's actually a course like so. So anong trabaho nila? They are supposed to hack the hackers. So para
Wow.
silang anti-terrorist group, right? So if you can imagine, now we're going to that level now because your hacking can actually come from anywhere in the globe. And at least in the US, they've already started to introduce that course. I have not heard yet anything similar here in the country, but that's definitely some solution that we can actually think about locally.
That's a great point, sir. Yes, Kat?
Just to add, no, for Sprout, since it's part of our goals to be ISO certified, there are pretty good internationally recognized providers in the country. You just have to build your own network for that. And I feel like the scary part is not knowing. And with cybersecurity, kasi it's a continuous effort. It's not because I installed a firewall today, I'm safe tomorrow. Because it evolves. So I feel like for your company, it has to be a continuous training and learning for your employees.
Very insightful. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, so our next question is, what are your thoughts about balancing providing employment versus digitalizing processes at the risk of offering redundancies? Or do you have other strategies you can share?
Wow, yeah, that's a good point. Well, at least in our case, it's not a choice of keeping down the head count versus employing digitalization. It was really more hiring strategically and then
Mm.
deploying the right digital solutions. Correct. Um, well, to be, I guess to put in context that kasi yun yung business of Dingdong is all digital and tech. Correct. And unlike, of course, if you're in the manufacturing sector or retail sector, that's an entirely different discussion altogether. But if you can recall what I mentioned kanina, and you can do that research, see Amazon actually have already started to run almost almost very little personnel in the groceries that they actually put. Kasi very AI machine learning based na. So if you go to that store or if you keep just buying online, the technology will actually tell you na you're actually running out of soap or toilet paper. It's not now that time of the month to buy it. And then now, because of the IoT of things, when you go to the store, it's actually pre-prepared for you already, right? So it depends on which industry you're in, right? But in some industries, manual and blue collar work still is very, very essential. But again, they have systems in place that could help this workforce to be more efficient and productive. Right?
That's a very good point, sir. Thank you. Panelists, anything to add?
Maybe
Uh,
go,
I would
Chris.
just like to ask Sir Rafi, because one of your objectives as a company is to deliver innovative solutions designed to empower and enable individuals, businesses, and communities. And this is very similar to our North Star to impact the life of every Filipino by improving business in the Philippines. So maybe that's one of the reasons why we are a very cohesive partners. And we're just curious. Can you let us know about the objectives of Ding Dong and how it can help individuals and businesses and communities?
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
fundamentally, when Mr. Dong Dantes actually thought of this business, the goal really was, okay, let's help the small, medium scale businesses, right? Not just survive, but thrive. And have a solution, if not a platform, that levels the playing field. Kumbaga, they're digitally present, right? And of course, pushing forward, what we want to do is not just providing them presence, but actually helping them grow their business by virtue of the transaction volumes that we are able to help them generate. Now, I guess the math is fairly to simplistically, establish the equation. As your business grows, then you will require the necessary manpower to run the business. In fact, thank you for asking that question because as part of the community-based effort of Dingdong, we are actually planning to bring the Dingdong brand to some of the major provinces already. And there are actually entrepreneurs from these provinces who are willing to bring the brand and operate a territory-based what do you call this, territory-based marketplace operations. Okay? So as far as our partnership is concerned, therefore, one of the questions they will ask would be, how are you
It's 12 o'clock.
managing your HR, in this case, your employee base? Then we can only share our best practice and share, hey, why don't you pull in Sprout, because they have an end-to-end solution already. Doesn't require a lot of manpower to run it. In fact, our HR right now is just a full team of about 2 people only, but everything's running, right? So that's, I think, one of the synergies we can get ourselves into. Now, of course, as we also have clients who are something more established already, while they may already be using existing HR tech or HR solutions. Then again, webinars like so perhaps would allow them to appreciate and realize that there's something like Sprout that can even make it much better for them if necessary. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Sir Rafi and Kris. Okay, a huge thank you again to our speaker, Mr. Rafi Maramag, and to our panelists for today, Katrina Papa and Christopher Vega. Let's all give them a warm round of applause.
Thank you.
Unfortunately,
Thanks,
that is all the
Thanks,
time that
guys.
we have left for this Q&A session. Again, I would like to thank everyone who sent in their questions beforehand, and I hope we were able to address them properly. For any e-certificate requests, you may follow the instructions that you see on your screens and send your requests through this link. That's bit.ly/certificate request form, or you can also scan the QR code. Guys, of course, you won't be leaving this webinar empty-handed. You can get your e-certificates here through this link flashed on your screens, or you can get out your phones, open the camera, and scan the QR code. And for the moment we have all been waiting for, I would like to announce the lucky raffle winners. Okay, so congratulations, Kim Kabalagnan, Minda Basa, and Charles Dumangkas. Congratulations, you have just won Dingdong Essential Baskets. Okay, so for the winners, please send us a DM on Twitter. Again, that's at Sprout HR Tech, so that we can send you the instructions on how to get the essential baskets from Dingdong. Thank you to everyone who participated, and have a great day ahead. Again, follow our social media pages and use the hashtag at SproutHRExperts to be updated on our events. See you on our next webinar on Thursday. Have a great week, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you.